Dear friends, welcome to the fifth course in the Journalism and Mass Communication program dealing with an overview of Indian culture. So far, we have talked about the definition of culture and its importance for students of mass communication and also the branches of cultural expression. In the concluding lecture in this unit, we shall have a brief look at the more personal symbols of culture and also see how cultural practices have evolved in recent decades, the extent of distortion in Indian culture, and how far the damage thus done has had an impact on the lifestyle of the people. So, first of all, we take up personal symbols. What do we mean by personal symbols denoting culture? By such symbols, it is meant to signify the food and eating habits, dressing up, language, rituals, and ceremonies. In brief, the personal symbols include the gestures, the acts of daily life, the interaction among the people in a society, which denote how we express ourselves, our feelings, and our relationship with each other in a unit. It is often said that India is such a multilingual, multi-ethnic, and multicultural nation that the language, food, and customs change every 50 kilometers. While it may sound a little exaggerated, it is also true that bigger states like Uttar Pradesh, Bihar, Andhra Pradesh, Gujarat, Tamil Nadu, Maharashtra, etc., there is a multiplicity of dialect, language, the way of preparing and eating food, and the local customs. Food is one sure way of getting an idea of the prevailing culture in a society and the way of life of a people. It not only indicates the social or community traditions followed as a matter of daily routine, but also the preferences of the people insofar as their nutritional and health needs are concerned. Indian food is by and large characterized by the extensive use of various spices, herbs, and other vegetables, and sometimes fruits grown in India. The practice of vegetarianism is widespread in Indian society. Hindu beliefs and culture have played an influential role in the evolution of Indian cuisine. However, cuisine across India also evolved as a result of the subcontinent's large-scale cultural interactions with the Mongols and Britain, making it a unique blend of some various and typical cuisine. The spice trade between India and Europe is often cited as the main catalyst for Europe's age of discovery, as it is called. The colonial period introduced European cooking styles to India, adding to the flexibility and diversity of Indian cuisine. In fact, Indian cuisine has influenced cooking traditions across the world, especially those from the Southeast Asia and the Caribbean nations. Indian cooking derives from a 5,000-year-old timeline during which culture has changed and evolved significantly over time, and the varying influences brought into the country by the various rulers and travelers. It has not lost its original identity, but it has become richer with the assimilation of the influences from outside. Now, let us have a look at the trends over a period of time. First of all, we go back to the period of 2000 BC and earlier. Most people believe that the origins of Indian history and therefore the cuisine are as old as mankind itself. The earlier formal civilization is the Mohenjo-daro and Harappan civilization, which is about 2000 BC. Most people believe that the Ayurvedic tradition of cooking, which is a complete holistic approach to cooking, evolved during this point in time. This lays the foundation of the concept that everything we eat affects both our body and mind. Therefore, food should be pure, grown from nature, and balanced. The core balance consists of balancing the 6 tastes: sweet, sour, salty, pungent, bitter, and astringent. In fact, these tastes relate to the attributes of essence and effect. Then there is the period of 1000 BC. At this point, we see the first movement of outsiders into the country, forming the origins of the Indus Valley civilization. The Mohenjo-daro people are believed to have been pushed to the southern part of the country, and the cuisine there is still largely vegetarian. The roots of Hinduism are shaped at this point. The Vedas, or the religious texts, are developed at this point, as is the Mahabharata. The caste system is developed at this point of time, dividing food habits of people broadly by caste. For example, the Brahmins for the most part were vegetarians, while the Kshatriyas, the fighting clan, were mostly non-vegetarian. In 600 BC, we see the emergence of Buddhism and Jainism. The latter of this has a marked influence on the cuisine in some parts of the country. Jains were strong believers in non-violence, and traditional Jain cuisine, apart from being cooked without meat, was also cooked without onion and garlic. During 400 BC, parts of India were ruled by the Emperor Alexander the Great in the 326 BC period. But generally, this period was a time of the Mauryan dynasty elsewhere in India. In this dynasty, especially King Ashok was responsible for the further development of Buddhism. It also saw the development of Buddhism outside India, which meant people-to-people interactions. Surely some exchanges would have involved food also during this time. There are references to the development and production of several varieties of natural liquor that were consumed for and during recreation. The Mauryan economy was also agriculture driven, which resulted in the base of all the grain based cuisine in India. Up to AD 1200, it was the period of several North Indian dynasties, including the Gupta dynasty, which was noted for its love of arts, and there were several visiting travelers during this time. This was also known as the Golden Age of Indian civilization. There were several travelers who visited India and carried with them knowledge and products like tea and spices. In the south of India, notable dynasties included the Hoysala dynasty, but from a culinary perspective, there are still no significant external influences brought into the country. The period of 1200 to 1500 AD was marked by Muslim invasions and the first entry of several foreign invaders into India. Vasco da Gama arrived in India in 1248 to explore opportunities for trade, which later resulted in colonization of parts of India by the Portuguese. The most notable example of this influence is seen in the cuisine of Goa in western India. The Khilji dynasty ruled in northern India during a significant period of time. An interesting travelogue of this period is provided by Ibn Battuta, a Moroccan traveler in the court of Muhammad bin Tughlaq. In one instance, he describes a meal served to him where he outlines the use of ghee, yogurt, pickles, and also that it comprised several courses including a milk-based dessert. The 1500 to 1800 AD period is the period of the Mughal Empire and the emergence of the now called Mughlai cuisine that the people now associate with India. It includes the addition of several seasonings like saffron, the addition of nuts, and cooking in the dum, or a sealed pot, which is a method of cooking. In the south of India, there was the Sultan dynasty in Hyderabad, where similar influences permeated into the region. There is a continuation of other European influences in parts of South India, such as Kerala, where you see the beginning of the Syrian Christian cuisine. 1800 to 1947 AD was the period of the British rule in India and the love affair of the English people with Indian food. This generally was hardly a glorified period in Indian history, but the British loved the general elaborate way of eating among Indians and adapted several of the food choices to their taste and developed the curry as a simple spice to help them cook Indian food. This period resulted in the emergence of the Anglo-Indian cuisine and the emergence of certain Raj traditions like that of high tea, which is an elaborate late afternoon meal served with tea. 1947 AD is marked by the beginning of the post-independence period, which changed Indian cuisine to subcontinental cuisine, since the Indian land mass was divided into several countries, most notably Pakistan and Bangladesh later on, that inherited the following ancient Indian history that has today developed into India's culinary tradition. So let's have a quick look at the antiquity of Indian food. In Vedic times, a normal diet consisted of fruit, vegetables, meat, grain, dairy products, and honey. Over time, some segments of the population embraced vegetarianism. This was facilitated by the advent of Buddhism and a cooperative climate where a variety of fruits, vegetables, and grains could easily be grown throughout the year. A food classification system that categorized any food item as sattvic, rajasic, or tamasic developed in Ayurveda. In this period, vegetarianism also flourished throughout India. Beef eating was prohibited, which has become a long-standing feature in Hinduism and India. In the Middle Ages, it was the period of several North Indian dynasties, including the Gupta dynasty. Later, India saw the period of Muslim invasions where non-vegetarians like Hindus, Buddhists, and Jains of India converted into non-vegetarianism to some extent. This period also saw the emergence of the Mughlai cuisine that people now associate with India. The staple of Indian cuisine today are rice, atta, that is whole wheat flour, and a variety of pulses. Pulses may be used as whole, dehusked, or split. Split pulses include such as dal, arhar, and so on, and they are used extensively. Sometimes some pulses are also processed into flour known as besan. Most Indian curries are cooked in vegetable oil. In northern and western India, peanut oil is most popular for cooking, while in eastern India, mustard oil is more commonly used. Coconut oil is used widely along the western coast, especially in Kerala. Gingerly oil is common in the south as well. In recent decades, sunflower oil and soybean oil have gained popularity all over India, and hydrogenated vegetable oil known as Vanaspati ghee is another popular cooking medium. Butter based ghee or desi ghee is less used than the former. The most important or frequently used spices in Indian cuisine are chili pepper, black mustard seed, cumin seed, turmeric, fenugreek, asafoetida, ginger, coriander, and garlic. Popular spice mixes are known as a collective term garam masala, a powder that typically includes 5 or more dried spices, especially cardamom, cinnamon, and clove. Each region and sometimes each individual chef has a distinctive blend of this garam masala. For example, a similar spice mix is popular in Maharashtra, but it is slightly sweeter. Some leaves are commonly used in this masala mix, including tejpat or bay leaf, coriander leaf, fenugreek leaf, and mint leaves. The common use of curry leaves and curry roots is typical of all South Indian cuisine. Let's have a look at regional cuisine in India, which is so different from one region to the other that it won't be actually right to term as a pan-Indian cuisine. India actually is a diverse country with many regional cultures, and each region has its own food specialty. Primarily at the regional level and also at provincial levels, the food habits change. The differences can come from a local culture and geographical location, whether a region is close to the sea, the desert, or the mountains, and the local economics. Indian cuisine is also seasonal, with priority placed on the use of fresh produce. People in India consider a healthy breakfast very important. They generally prefer to drink tea or coffee with the first meal of the day. North Indian people prefer rotis or parathas and a vegetable dish accompanied by pickles and some curd. People of Western India would go for dhokla and milk, whereas South Indians will favor idlis and dosas, generally accompanied by various chutneys. Lunch in India usually consists of a main dish of rice in the south and east and rotis made from the whole wheat in northern and western parts of India. It typically includes 2 or 3 kinds of vegetables. Lunch may be accompanied by items such as kulcha, naan, or parathas. Curd and 2 or 3 sweets are also included in the main course. Indian families also typically gather for an evening breakfast, as they call it, to talk, drink tea, and eat some light snacks well before the dinner time. Supper, or the meal in the night, is considered the main meal of the day, and the whole family gathers for the occasion. Dinner may be followed by dessert, ranging from fruit to traditional dishes, which are generally milk-based preparations. Several customs and etiquette are associated with food consumption. Traditionally, meals were eaten while seated either on the floor or on very low stools or cushions. Today, however, most households have a dining space with a table and chairs where the family gathers for at least one meal a day. Food is often eaten without cutlery, using instead the fingers of the right hand. Often a flat bread or roti is used to scoop the curry without allowing it to touch the hands. Other etiquette includes eating with one hand only, preferably the right hand, and letting the food touch only two fingers. Traditional serving styles vary from region to region. One universal aspect of presentation is the thali, a large plate of steel with samplings of different regional dishes accompanied by a curd based dish and breads such as roti, naan, puri, and rice. Most South Indian meals end with plain curd and rice. Traditionally in South India, a well rinsed banana leaf is used as a plate for hygiene purposes and religious beliefs. When hot food is served on banana leaves, the leaves add aroma and taste to the food. Leaf plates are still utilized on auspicious and festive occasions but are much less common otherwise in daily routine. Traditional ways of dining are being influenced by eating styles from other parts of the world as well. Among the middle class throughout India, spoons and forks are now commonly used, although knives are not. Despite changing trends, efforts are still made by family elders that at least all available members of the family collect on the dinner table at least once a day. This is part of the ancient culture when family ties were constantly strengthened, as eating together is supposed to create bonding and nurture a feeling of togetherness. At the same time, the staple diet comprising roti, rice, vegetables, and dal is a balanced one containing the right quantity of protein, carbohydrates, minerals, fiber, and sugar, in addition to salt and spices, so as to make a complete health supplement. Vegetarianism also is supposed to be a cultural trait rather than a religious one. Having a feast, likewise, is part of all Indian festivals and rituals. Eating properly and feeding guests and visitors is considered to be both a blessing and good fortune. After food and eating habits, let us have a look at the relationship between dressing habits and culture. Dressing habits actually are a reflection of one's culture, beliefs, values, attitudes, and lifestyle. The attire of the people keeps changing with the evolution of tastes, one's needs, and comforts as well. India has been known for its hand-woven textiles, richly embroidered fabrics, and authentic drapes in exclusive designs that have been prized by Western civilizations for centuries. Indian men and women have always loved to dress up in their traditional costumes, attires, and accessories during festivals and other occasions, which are an integral part of Indian life. Recently, Indian costumes have been successful in attracting the attention of the global market and also capturing a part of the global fashion designing market. Indian clothing has been influenced by diverse cultural influences since time immemorial. Historians believe that the sari dates back to the Indus Valley civilization, which flourished during 2800 to 1800 BC. Generally, it is believed to have originated from the northwestern part of India. Studies also show that the men's dhoti is a prototype of the sari, and both the sexes wore the former till the 14th century. The choli, or the women's blouse, is believed to have come into existence with the various European colonial powers that once occupied a major portion of the Indian subcontinent. The British did influence women's clothing to a great extent. Indian high society ladies started wearing long-sleeved blouses with frills, very similar to the Victorian era upper garment during the late 19th and early 20th centuries. Historians also say that the achkan, which is a long-sleeved coat worn mainly by Muslim men even today, originated in Central Asia. More specifically, it was the court costume for Persian and Turkish nobles. The achkan can reach down to the knees or even lower, and it is buttoned in the front. Now let's come to the sari. The sari is the traditional garment of an Indian woman. It is an unstitched piece of cloth which varies from 5 to 9 yards in length and can be worn in different styles. A sari is worn over a petticoat and a short sleeved blouse. The most popular style of wearing a sari is by tucking one end into the petticoat at the waist, while a major portion of it is pleated neatly and tucked in the front. The rest of the sari, which is known as the pallu or pallav, is taken over the left shoulder. The pallu is the most fascinating and striking feature of the sari. It is often very heavily embellished with woven motifs or embroidery. However, this authentic Indian garment has lost some of its popularity as daily wear in the recent past. Western outfits have made an inroad into the Indian woman's wardrobe as well, due to a shift towards rapid globalization and emerging corporate and business culture. Today, women prefer to wear clothes that offer ease of movement in addition to style. Also, with the boom in the retail industry, Indians have a wider variety of options to pick and choose from, and women are being increasingly seen in Western style outfits, notably jeans and shirts and trousers and so on. However, this authentic Indian garment, that is sari, it comes in varied textures and styles. For most formal occasions, it still remains the favorite thing to wear. One finds women in both the middle class and the elite looking their best in a graceful sari. The materials may vary from crisp cotton, rich silks to synthetics and chiffons, but the final overall look is simply elegant and matchless. Every region of India has a distinct sari of its own, very much influenced by their particular social milieu and culture. Some well-known regional styles of a sari and its wearing are like this. The Bengali sari. In the traditional Bengali style, this sari is draped around the body without plaits, and pallu is left loose by hanging over the left shoulder, often with a bunch of keys attached to it. The earlier generations of Bengali women preferred the style because of its sheer simplicity and utmost comfort. The Gujarati sari sports a distinctive style, as the women in Gujarat wear a sari with a neatly plaited pallu brought in front over the right shoulder with one end tucked around the waist to the left, which is quite opposite to the way people in the north wear. The Maharashtrian sari is a 9-yard sari called the Nawadi. It is the traditional style very similar to the men's dhoti. The pleats of sari are placed between the legs and tucked in the center back. Fisher women in the coastal regions of Maharashtra still wear a Nawadi sari. The Tamil sari is very similar to the Maharashtrian 9-yard sari, where the pallu is quite long and wrapped around the waist and tucked in. Some important varieties of sari in terms of design are the Banarsi sari, which are made of finely woven silk and have intricate designs done in golden thread or zari. Banarsi saris are relatively heavy and worn by Indian women on important occasions. The wardrobe of any Indian bride is deemed incomplete without the customary red Banarsi sari. In fact, in most states, the Banarsi sari is the one that the bride wears for the wedding ceremony. The Baluchari sari of Vishnupur in Bengal is made of silk and woven on special looms. The Chanderi sari derives its name from Chanderi, a small town located in Madhya Pradesh, which has long been famous for its hand-woven saris. The Dhakai Jamdani sari originated in the region now known as Bangladesh and is made with superior quality cotton. Kantha sari comes from the small town of Bolpur in West Bengal, which is famous for producing saris with Kantha embroidery. It is a style of embroidery that uses the simple running stitch. Dhone Khali or Begumpuri are other popular style of saris made in handlooms in Bengal. Over the years, the distinctive patterns have merged as weavers have started experimenting with various combinations of design and yarn. So much so, it is often difficult to distinguish between the various styles unless one is an expert on texture and design. The Kanjivaram saris are considered to be the most spectacular and exclusive silk saris of India. The little town of Kanchipuram near Chennai in Tamil Nadu has been making such saris for over 400 years. Mysore silk saris of Karnataka are famous for their traditional designs and colors. The zari work on pallus and borders add to the sophistication and elegance of these saris. The Maheshwari sari hails from Madhya Pradesh. It has a natural sophistication that is difficult to match. The specialty of this sari is its unique striped and checkered patterns on silk and cotton fabrics. Narayanpet, a small town in Andhra Pradesh, is a significant sari manufacturing center. These saris come in both silk and cotton and are well known for their gorgeous zari borders with rudraksh, which is a special type of fruit reproduced as motifs. Pochampally, located in Andhra Pradesh, is famous for its rich saris both in cotton and silk, incorporating traditional tie and dye weaves. Pathani sari in Maharashtra is a hand-woven silk sari which comes with an ornamented pallu with zari work and is considered to be a collector's item. Tat is the traditional sari of Bengali women which is hand-woven in various districts of West Bengal. Similarly, Shantipuri, a small town situated in the Nadia district of West Bengal, is famed for its cotton saris. Tangail is a district in what is known today as Bangladesh. The traditional Tangail saris have borders with a lotus or lamp pattern. Venkatgiri is a small town in the Nellore district of Andhra Pradesh which is known for its fine cotton saris which go by the same name. It is considered to be a perfect wear for the Indian summer. Besides the sari, the other costumes for women include a salwar kameez. It is the outfit most commonly worn by Indian women and is second in line only after the sari. The outfit is probably born out of Islamic influence, especially that of Arabic and Persian cultures. Women all over the country prefer this dress mainly because of the comfort and ease of movement that it offers, besides near zero maintenance. Then there is the ghagra or lehenga choli. A ghagra or a lehenga is a long gathered gypsy style skirt with dazzling embroidery or mirror work, and it comes in vibrant colors. It is considered a must wear by brides on their wedding day. Dressier versions of the ghagra are teamed with chunky silver jewelry during festivals and other important occasions. Some regional costumes in India include the Mekhala Chadar, which is the traditional attire of women of Assam, the Kerala Sari, which during the festival of Onam in Kerala is worn by women there. It is a two-piece garment very similar to a sari with a blouse. It is worn in the same fashion as a sari but without pleats in the front. Firan. The people in the state of Jammu and Kashmir wear a traditional beautiful long sleeved tunic known as the firan. Firans are generally made of woolen fabric to keep the wearer warm during the severe winters of the valley. Interestingly, a firan is unisex in nature and worn by all sections of the society. Then there are some tribal costumes. In fact, the Northeast happens to be one of the most diverse and culturally vibrant regions of India. It comprises the 7 beautiful states, more popularly called the Seven Sisters, inhabited by as many as 166 different tribes pursuing their unique lifestyles. Then the Bhils, residing in the southwestern part of Rajasthan, are one of the oldest tribes in India. The dry and arid weather of this region has had a high influence on the clothing habits of the people of this region. Men are usually comfortable in a loincloth and embroidered waistcoats coupled with turbans and traditional Rajasthani shoes curled up at the toes. Bhil women wear a single stretch of cloth that is tucked around the waist while the rest is used to cover the head. Wearing a blouse among the Bhils is a status symbol and only married women are expected to wear one. A variety of jewelry ranging from beaded chokers, colorful bangles, nose rings, and an ornament suspended from the hair to the forehead are an essential part of the Bhil women's dress. The Warlis of Western Ghats, more popularly known as the Ghatis, are scattered over the coast of Maharashtra, Surat in Gujarat, and Daman. This tribe believes in minimal clothing, and men can be found in short dhotis and embroidered waistcoats. Warli women wear saris that are short in length with a half-sleeved embroidered choli that is tied in a knot in the front. The Todas of the Nilgiris in Tamil Nadu in South India are a small population now faced with the threat of extinction. The men of this community wear a long, loose-flowing garment covering the entire body from shoulder to toe. This is usually in white with red and blue borders. The women also wear the same hand-woven garment except in the style of a sari. Their jewelry is restricted to silver, beads, and shells. The Santhals of West Bengal, Bihar, and parts of Orissa are basically cultivators by occupation. Santhal outfits are again minimal, where men wear a lungi whereas women wear a short sari, usually without a blouse. But it is worn to fit their bodies snugly without getting undone even in the most trying of circumstances like working in the field and so on. Men's costumes in India are by and large restricted to Western wear, such as trousers, shirts, and formal suits. But when it comes to festivities, it is the ethnic pajama kurta or dhoti kurta which hold sway. Some traditional costumes of Indian men are like this. The dhoti. Dhoti remains the most traditional garment of the Indian male. It is a 6-yard long rectangular piece of unstitched cloth, usually white, which is wrapped around the waist and between the legs. The dhoti is ideal for the torrid summer of India. Its usage can be traced back to ancient times. Though Western outfits have replaced the dhoti over the years, yet it remains the chosen one for Indian festivals and weddings, and also in the vast countryside in the north. A dhoti can be worn in a variety of ways, and it has different names according to the style. For example, it is called a dhoti in West Bengal, a veshti in Tamil Nadu, and a pancha in Telugu. A dhoti is usually complemented with a kurta on top, but in southern parts of India, it is worn mostly with a shirt. An angavastram, or an unstitched piece of cloth, is placed over the left shoulder in case a shirt is worn. A South Indian dhoti is worn like a lungi and often has a broad and bright zari border. A common sight in South India is that of men folding the dhoti up to the knees for the purpose of comfort during their daily work, even in offices. In some parts of Maharashtra, men still wear the traditional dhoti, which is worn shorter than the ways Bengalis wear it. A white kurta and a cap known as the Nehru cap completes the look of the typical Maharashtrian man from the countryside. Lungi is a piece of cloth sewn in a circle and worn around the waist like a sarong. Besides India, lungis are popular in several communities across Asia such as Bangladesh, Pakistan, and Sri Lanka. The most common patterns of lungis are plain, checks, or stripes. It is considered to be a very comfortable garment among males in regions where conditions make it impossible and uncomfortable for men to wear trousers all the time. In Punjab, the lungi is also called a tehmat, which is made of extravagant silks in an endless variety of hues and shades. It is draped in a manner where the pleats fall in the front. Punjabi men wear this with a long kurta and an embroidered jacket, and of course a colorful pagdi or a turban. Now we come to the cultural practices. In the daily lives of people and families, there are many gestures and symbols that are typically related to our ancient culture. These range from the form of greeting, typically namaste or namaskar, being the most common, to ram ram and adab, being used by people regardless of their religion. Similarly, bowing the head before a shrine is also a part of Indian culture, even though the person doing so may not belong to that religion to which the shrine represents. Then, when it comes to family occasions of celebration or mourning, there are many rituals and customs that cut across religious lines. Be it childbirth, birthday, marriage, or a tragedy or a condolence, there are certain things that cut across communities. It is not uncommon to find that in case of a tragedy in a household, No food is cooked in the adjoining houses, and food is prepared and sent in from distant relatives as a matter of routine. Likewise, it is common among all communities to carry fruits, flowers, or homemade food material while visiting someone who is sick or is in hospital. It is also very common for people to carry fruits, flowers, or sweets when they visit somebody where a festivity has taken place, such as a marriage or a childbirth or some ceremony, and so on. Ceremonies such as applying mehendi or henna by the bride and the women folk are common among Hindus, Muslims, Sikhs, and others. In weddings, use of floral decoration, exchange of garlands, music, feasting, dancing, etc., has also become common in many communities. It is notable that such ceremonies and practices are more Indian in nature than being identified merely with a religion or a community. Such is the composite culture of India. Now we come to the aspect of distortion of Indian culture. The progress and development of a nation depends critically and crucially on its unity and strength. India is a plural society and we seek unity in its diversity. It is a complex issue with several dimensions such as religious, regional, linguistic, ethnic, social, cultural, economic, etc. One needs to look at it from many levels such as political, constitutional, legal, administrative, educational, psychological, journalistic, and so on to arrive at what has been happening to the thread and fabric of Indian culture. During the last 2 or 3 decades, India's composite culture has constantly been under attack, with Western interests always trying to fish in the troubled waters to serve their respective political ends. One example was when the government of the time gave in to the growing pressure from a section of a community to nullify a Supreme Court judgment in the Shah Bano case sometime in 1985. Then in February 1986, a district court in Faizabad in Uttar Pradesh delivered its verdict for the worship of Lord Ram at Ayodhya's Ram Janambhoomi and Babri Masjid complex. The Vishwa Hindu Parishad, in conjunction with the Ram Janmabhoomi Trust, launched a movement for the control over the structure and its renovation, aiming at the construction of a Ram Mandir there. A political party named the Bharatiya Janata Party, until it came to power, gave its active support to the movement. The disputed shrine in Ayodhya was demolished on December 6, 1992, and subsequently the BJP came up with the concepts of Hindutva and cultural nationalism. Its concept of Hindutva suggests that all inhabitants of India, irrespective of caste, creed, or faith they believe in, are Hindus and their culture is Hindu culture, which is a throwback to the ancient period. Such an approach of redefining India's culture goes against the basic spirit of India's composite culture, which has evolved over thousands of years. Given the fact that the Indian society is plural in nature, what is needed is the beautiful expression of India's different cultural layers and not a forced uniformity of Indian culture where none exists as a matter of fact. As we just learnt, food, eating habits, dressing habits, social habits, ceremonies, cultural exchanges, so on. Everything differs in India from one region to other, and all these constitute what is known as Indian culture. The Ram Mandir issue, unlike the goal of Swaraj before independence, was the goal of all Indians, and the Ram Mandir issue is by no means a goal accepted by all Indians. This consensus issue, this contentious issue, has always evoked counter-response, violence, and more violence in response to it, which is unlike what Indian culture has meant to the people over the centuries. Everyone needs to realize that our people are very sensitive about their religious identity and its associated institutions. No conscious effort should be made to unify different religions. An eclectic religion based on the good points common to all religions is perhaps not a practical disposition. It is easier to be an atheist than to allow even one good element from any religion into one's own. Such is human nature. In such circumstances, the only alternative is to recognize differences in religions as a matter of fact and as a matter of personal taste like food and dress, etc. The need of the hour is not mere tolerance but complete understanding, goodwill, and respect for one another's religious beliefs and assumptions. Another act that might lead to the distortion of India's culture and its comprehension by the younger generation has been the change and deletion of some text from the NCERT history textbook, as also an attempt to rewrite India's history from a certain ideological point of view. The revision of history textbooks, or for that matter any textbook, is not objectionable, but what is objectionable is the manner and the political overtones in which it is sought to be done. Theories and facts in history have always been challenged, but all this should have an iota of transparency in it. All attempts at communalizing history to suit a particular worldview need to be thwarted. There should not be unabashed deletion of text only because it goes against particular ideological beliefs. It should be ensured that the line between history and mythology does not get blurred, and at the same time it is important to have a regard for icons in mythology, for legends in history and mythology and religion, while we express ourselves during festivities, during commercial activities, and so on. Two other issues that have been opposed by the cultural chauvinists of the country are participation of Indian girls in beauty pageants and the observation of Valentine's Day in the country. These two examples are mentioned here specifically because the opposition to these two things has come in as part of a so-called campaign to uphold Indian culture. To view these two activities as a violation of Indian cultural ethos and Indian traditions is completely illogical. No culture is static, and this is especially true of Indian culture, which has since ancient times not only withstood the onslaught of foreign culture but has also assimilated the positive aspects of foreign culture into self. Today, boys and girls of all religions prefer to wear jeans, t-shirts and other such pieces of clothing such as jackets and so on, which are not part of the ancient Indian dressing habits or ancient culture of India. But such pieces of clothing, such ready-made clothes are considered to be comfortable and suitable for young people who are in a hurry, who are moving around, who are working, studying and so on. Similarly, beauty contests and participation of Indian girls in such programs, as also the observance of the Valentine's Day celebrations by the people, should be seen in this perspective. Indian culture has always accepted new ideas without losing its pristine identity. The imposition of a dress code, for example, especially forcing the women in Kashmir to wear a veil or a burqa by the Islamic fundamentalists, is yet another example of India's cultural distortion. The dress and assumptions with regard to it have evolved over thousands of years. No one, therefore, should be allowed to dictate at gunpoint or with force or with some piece of law as to what one should wear, and this basically is an infringement of an individual's freedom to dress up as he or she likes. Similarly, in many provinces, in many cities and states across India, we often see people going around in clothing that may be considered unsuitable by some, but it does not evoke any kind of reaction among the society at large. So, once again, we come to the point that dressing up or eating or personal habits are more dictated by what one feels comfortable in and what suits our current lifestyle. Indian culture, as we just said, is not so weak that it will suffer when some people decide to behave the way they like to. With this, we come to an end of the unit on the overview of Indian culture. In the previous lectures, we learnt that India has a composite culture with multilingual, multi-religious and multi-ethnic segments. While the country has a rich tradition of sculpture, music, dance, performing arts, theatre and films, our people have a wide variety of eating and food habits, dressing habits, customs and rituals. Over the years, there have been several attempts by various forces to distort Indian culture, and it is only a sign of our maturity as a nation, as a people, that all such attempts have been thwarted and our culture not only grows stronger than ever, but it is referred to as close to being ideal by the Western societies. In our next discussion, we will take up a new chapter in our studies in mass communication. Till then, thank you and my best wishes.